This episode is brought to you by Borcom Dynamics Private Limited. Established in December 2023, is a technology-driven company that provides a platform for freelancers, unregistered businesses to operate within a professional framework. Borcom Dynamics offers three core services: a platform to get your products on e-commerce platforms, a collaborative platform for freelancers, and a SaaS marketing platform. Follow them on Instagram and check them out on their website to more about them. Welcome to yet another episode of Journal of Knowledge. Today we have a very special episode with two eminent speakers today. So we are going to talk more about artificial intelligence, that is AI, and how is it making a buzzword across the world right now. And across social media also, AI has taken a new turn with ChatGPT, chatbots, deepfake, a lot of issues that's making headlines right now. So we'll dive in depth into each and every aspect about AI, and we'll talk more about all the topics associated with AI in depth with these two eminent experts. So I would welcome my close friends and of course technology geeks, Sebastian and Aldrin, to this particular podcast episode. And can you just introduce yourself before we go to the rest of the episode?
Hi everyone, I'm Sebastian James. I'm working as a senior solution engineer at IBS Software. At work, I am working with Java, so it's mostly backend technologies. Coming to artificial intelligence, it's been an interest for me from college. The interest was sparked when I started doing courses in Coursera during the pandemic period, where I got a lot of time, so I explored few months in that area and did my seminar paper on AI. And later I have moved away from it, and right now I'm trying to get back into that field and trying to get involved in more projects. That's something that I need to take up. I'm brushing up my knowledge and trying to make that transition to AI. Yeah.
Hello everyone. So my name is Aldrin. I currently work as a software engineer at a company called ThoughtWorks. It's an MNC based in Chicago. I worked in their Bangalore office. I took an honors degree in machine learning while I was in college. That was pretty fun. After college, I worked in a startup where I was building predictive system. So I worked in a log analytics based startup, and I was trying to build anomaly prediction using some machine learning models. Then during college itself, like Sebastian said, even I was very curious about, artificial intelligence, especially generative AI. I used it to build a lot of projects, and I was very much interested in a lot of different aspects, not just text processing, but also image generation or video to video changing styles or creating deepfakes, etc. So, I took a couple of courses, but I was more interested in the practical aspects. Even at work right now, I am assigned to a project where we are trying to build, chatbots which are trained on custom specific data. So, which you can use to answer questions specific to a particular small data set belonging to your company or something. Yeah, that was my background. And again, I'm very happy to be here. Jairam is a great friend. So, thank you for your opportunity.
Okay, thank you so much, both of you, for your gentle yet very enlightening introduction. So, before moving on to this particular episode, I must say, we three of us in this podcast are from MEC, Model Engineering College, and we all did our bachelor's there and currently at different places. And Sebastian was definitely from my own batch, so we are close friends, I think, for more than 6 years right now. While Aldrin is from the 2023 batch, if I'm not wrong, and we met on multiple, different college-based events and also different club events and all. So it's great to have you both together with me today for this particular episode. I'm sure it would be a great experience for all those who are listening to this particular topic, and they will definitely get a lot of knowledge from all of your experience and your projects and whatever that you did on and off college. So I think without wasting time, let's move on to this particular topic-based discussion. So one of the most important and challenging tasks for everyone, we three here, is to explain what exactly is AI. Because a lot of people, even though they use the term AI very loosely across their conversations, in daily life, what exactly would you say as AI? What is the definition mainly from a common man's perspective? So how do you tell to a person, a layman, what exactly is AI? That's the first question that we have to deal with today.
Okay, so AI, artificial intelligence, to explain it to a layman, as with anything, maybe with an example. So we are in a call right now. So we are speaking, and the software has this feature where the words that we are saying get actually converted into text. So there's something working over there. That black box that does the translation, that's one of the applications that would be coming under AI. So there are different applications, there are different examples that I can put. So what happens is that artificial intelligence, in the example that I mentioned, would be a model that's already trained. So when we are speaking, the voice that's being recorded, it's getting processed and it gets converted into words. So how it does this? Is because of the model. So then the question becomes, how did the model come into existence? So the model came into existence. It's an algorithm that got trained with lots of data in order to get the result that was needed, that is to convert voice into text. Now, coming to say more about that, it would turn more into technical things. Yeah, that's it. Alden, would you like to add more?
Yeah. So what I would like to tell is, in order to think about artificial intelligence, think about software systems that can perform actions which usually requires human intelligence. So think of it that way. For example, image classification. That's a very, very common example. So identifying between a cat image and a dog image, right? If you think about it, that was inherently very difficult to do until the early 21st century. So this is a very simple example of AI. So a set of software that can perform action which usually requires a certain level of human intelligence, right? So consider like you're giving a sort of human intelligence to a software program. That is a very simple way to consider artificial intelligence. The main era of it started with someone called Alan Turing, the Enigma machine and all that. It started from there. And essentially, very similar understanding is this. You're trying to make machines perform intelligent actions. That's a very simple example. And when you get into the nitty-gritty of it, image classification, that is one. And then like Sebastian said earlier, speech recognition, right? That is another example. And then we are at a very later stage where we have got GPTs and all, which can provide text in a very intelligent sort of manner. So those are examples. But essentially, in the underlying code, we are creating software that can perform actions which require a sort of human intelligence. Yeah.
Just to add on, when Aldrin mentioned Alan Turing, so I had to mention Imitation Game. So that's a movie where it's based on how they cracked the Enigma. So over there in that movie, they mentioned like how Benedict Cumberbatch, his character brought out the first notion of AI. Like in the acting, you could see like his enthusiasm to create the machine that he did in order to crack Enigma. So it was a machine that was capable of thinking of itself, as he phrased. So more than asking the machine to do a particular set of steps, it was asking the machine to do this, but figure it out how to do it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. That was indeed very enlightening, I must say. Especially to put it in a layman's perspective, I know it's very hard, especially to tell to people who don't have much idea of how exactly computers work. So that was an interesting take from both of you, and also good work with respect to Imitation Game and the role of Alan Turing in developing computers as such. It's not just AI, even the basic understanding of what exactly is a computer started from his idea of mathematics, which was his specialization. So talking about AI in general, so whenever we talk about any particular topic, we'll talk about the different types of it in order to classify and for people to understand. So are there any specific types of AI that you know, or any particular classification in the technology field that this is this type of AI, then there is that type of AI? So how would you talk about different types of AI?
So coming to the different types of AI, there's many words that's going around like machine learning, deep learning, reinforcement learning, like that. But rather than going in that direction, I would say the classification that maybe that's more that we can discuss would be in terms of weak or strong, general in that sense. So weak would be like the AI that is focusing on a particular task, like that I mentioned before. In the case of audio to text, that. And strong, Alden, can you tell more about strong? I would say general would be where a system which would perform multiple and come to the intelligence of human, but that would again be another classification. But strong, Alden?
Sure. So I would like to reword it a little bit in a different sense. I'd like to take it as a narrow versus general AI. So narrow AI would be an AI system which is very good at performing one task. So for an example would be a program called AlphaGo. It was created to beat the top player in the game of Go. Go is it's a game which involves boards, something like chess but way more complicated. And it was always considered impossible for a computer to play. So there was a program called AlphaGo was made. It uses really sophisticated algorithms behind the scenes, and it actually defeated the top Go player earlier. So that AI was really good at playing Go. Okay, so that is an example of narrow AI. It's very good at one particular task. The opposite of this would be something called general AI. So that means it can do a lot of different tasks at a considerable or at par of human level intelligence. ChatGPT could be considered as one very common example. So that is one classification. And yes, of course, there are other, there are like further subdivision. Like if you look from a hierarchical point, there is AI which encompasses everything. Inside that you got machine learning. And then underneath that you got deep learning. So that is one kind of different classification. Even for machine learning itself, you can further go divide it as supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement, etc. But then we really go into more technical details. But again, like Sebastian said, from a very high level, general versus narrow AI, that can be a very good classification between different types of AI systems. Yeah.
So I know it's difficult. So would you like to take up the task of explaining the difference between machine learning and deep learning?
Yeah, so that would be quite straightforward. So the thing is, machine learning. So what we would say for generally any task where we are trying to achieve, like feeding in data and trying to get that model that we want something to perform on. But the difference comes in case of deep learning is when the data increases. So machine learning would be where the dataset where we are training from around, maybe a rough number would be 10,000 around. So deep learning would be where the data is even more, in millions, in that range. So what the difference is, machine learning, it uses a particular set of algorithms, maybe like classification, regression, those comes over there. But when it comes to deep learning, there it relies on neural networks. So neural networks and the number of layers, that's the complexity, that the number of neurons, the number of layers where data, since there's a lot of data, there's a lot of layers where each layer will be taking in a lot of features in order to create sense of the pattern that's underlying beneath the data. That's where it becomes deep learning.
Yeah, I would like to add on to the initial part saying machine learning and deep learning both come under this AI, general AI hierarchy. And deep learning usually involves more parameters, more different layers of neurons. Deep learning systems usually require more computation. Machine learning systems could be divided into supervised learning, which is basically when you have a lot of data set which are classified. So one example would be you got a lot of cat images, you got a lot of dog images, and you take 80% of each of them and you tell the computer saying, okay, these are dog images, these are cat images, learn the pattern. And then you give a totally new image which does not belong to the existing training set. And then based on the patterns, the system can classify. That would be supervised learning. Then there is unsupervised learning, which is when you do not tell the system what is a cat or what their dog image is. You just give a bunch of images and let the system figure out patterns and closely, find associations of sorts. So the computer will go through all of the images and maybe say, okay, so cat images have these kind of whiskers. So maybe those kind of whiskers, those images having that particular set of whiskers could be maybe grouped together, kind of. Also it groups together as different clusters. That is unsupervised learning. Then there is reinforcement learning, which is when the system tries to figure something out, but it may not be correct. It may be totally rubbish. So then we tell the system, okay, this is not wrong. So we give a feedback and say either positive or negative. And based on that, the system will train again. So it produces one output. We say this is wrong. So then the system adjusts its configurations in a way. And then it predicts next one. So then we give another feedback, say, okay, this is correct. So now the system understands, okay, that configuration is correct. So let me just try to modify a little bit. That is the reinforcement learning. So all of these three methods, these are all really popular, already existing, methods, and these come under machine learning. In the case of deep learning, what happens is, you suddenly increase the complexity by a lot. You add a set of something called neural network in between. Neural network is imagine like a binary switch, which flashes when you get one input, and based on that binary flash, you flash another input, and then you add it as different layers. It can be a bit technical to explain, but essentially think of it like it is mimicking the neurons in our brain. That is what it's trying to do. But, of course, there's a difference between biological brains, and we are trying to do it over transistors and switches. And so it's like trying to fire different neurons. Neurons considered like a switch as a neuron. We are trying to fire different neurons. And based on the close proximity of different switches, it again fires another fires. And as the layer complexity increases, you can add a lot of different parameters to say. You can add a lot of different parameters. And based on how the parameters are tuned, you get a really optimized and sophisticated output in the end. Usually deep learning systems are used for, image classification. Again, very good example. Then what else? It usually requires more computation. Traditionally, usually it's using GPUs and that could be one example. Sebastian, would you like to add on anything?
Yeah, well, Anjan, I was meaning to ask one thing before adding on. Like in machine learning, we have this say classification regression, and deep learning will have say different CNN, RNN, like convolutional neural networks and recurrent neural networks in order to do image classification or some application. Similarly, in reinforcement learning, that's an area that I haven't explored much. So, is there some examples or some algorithms like in unsupervised learning we have clustering? So, similar to that is something that we can keep in mind in reinforcement learning.
Yes. So, as algorithms as such, I cannot name anything. But even for the GPTs, recently there's something called RLHF, which means reinforcement learning using human feedback. Most of the latest LLM models use this kind of feedback system to fine-tune their final output. So that would be, for example, an LLM. LLM means large language model. So ChatGPT can be considered like an LLM. So you provide a question to ChatGPT, like write Python code for something, some program, and then ChatGPT gives some output. Now, that may not be perfect output, right? It may achieve some result, but let's just say the code is not optimized. It could be better optimized or something. So then we can give a sort of feedback to the system. That is why if you folks remember, during the initial days of ChatGPT, there was a way for us to give feedback, like is it good or is it bad? Nowadays it's very much more, less obvious. Most people don't. But even now we can see sometimes it will give two answers and then we can choose left or right, which one is better. So in a way that is kind of like a reinforcement thing. We are giving a feedback system. Another example would be if you would have used Midjourney, right? Midjourney is a tool for creating images. There also we had some kind of feedback system earlier. They would give 4 images, and then we can select whichever image which we liked most. So that way system is still learning. So it's kind of can be considered like a feedback system. But again, coming to the original question, is it a way for reinforcement learning assets? It's kind of like debatable sort of. Because right now we are talking about LLM territory, but in the case of reinforcement learning itself, I'm not sure to name any particular algorithms as such, but yeah, there should be. Yeah.
Okay, so we talked a lot about AI as such, AI in general, and some specific tasks which are done by AI. So I want to know more about the big players in this particular field. So everyone knows about ChatGPT and the OpenAI company, then Microsoft, Google. So I want more names from you all and what exactly do they do in this particular field so that people can get more knowledge and information and updates on what exactly is happening in this domain.
So coming to the companies in AI, the past 2 years there's been a lot of companies other than the big names which Jairam already mentioned. Jairam missed Meta, I know that that's another big name, is Amazon. All the big players are already there. Yeah, and a few new ones, they were new to me when I heard the names were Llama Index and Langchain, and there were a few which were new to me, and then there are several companies that's there in the field of AI. So one particular company that I would like to say out is MindsDB. So MindsDB was something that I got to know when I was doing a bit of open source and was trying a few hackathons, trying to develop a few things. So MindsDB was a platform where they have integrations of several these AI integrations. So they had different offerings from different. So it was like a composition of several things that we can use in the same place. That's one thing that I wanted to say. Alden, would you like to add on?
So again, like Sebastian said, I would like to bring special attention to Meta, or Facebook as it is called, because the main open source revolution in the space of AI started with a model called Llama, LLAMA. Some say it was leaked, some say it was leaked on purpose, but that anyways happened from Facebook. And the model and its weight was put out in the open. And then a lot of people started tinkering based on it. And a lot of really good projects came up from that Llama-based open source models, open source LLMs. So for that, I really have to give it to Facebook for doing something good. Finally, that is one. Then there's a company called Mistral, Mistral, Mistral AI. It's a Paris-based AI company. Mistral is recently became very famous because of their one model called Mistral 7B. That is, it basically means a large language model which having 7 billion parameters. This was during December. This was one of the best open source models out there for LLM. So, and it was so good, and we could even try it on our local systems. So I used to run it on my MacBook and all. It used to run very well. So you can get ChatGPT like answers running locally on your MacBook, and that was huge. You don't need internet at all. You can still get still very similar output. Not up to GPT-4 quality, but GPT 3.5, like very good output you can get running on your system. So, and for that, kudos to Mistral. They recently received around $400 million funding and all. They also released one more model called Mixtral of Expert, Mixtral, and that actually beat ChatGPT, like GPT 3.5. It beat it because it was like so good. It had a special kind of architecture where you got 8 different models. Like each model specified on one particular task. Like one model would be really good for coding. Another model would be really good for creative writing. Another model could be for something. And then based on the user's question, the Mixtral engine was capable enough to to direct the answer to one expert and then give it to another one for verification, and you can get the final output. So it was like very, very novel architecture. A lot of people were praising it. So Mixtral is a very good company to look out for. Then one more company that's called Anthropic. Anthropic is known for releasing their model called Cloud, C-L-A-U-D, Cloud. They released Cloud 1 and Cloud 2. The reason why this is notable is that Cloud 2 was one of the models with the largest context window. That means when you give some question to ChatGPT, usually it's a token limit exceeded, or you cannot give a very large paragraph, right? Very large block of text you cannot give ChatGPT. ChatGPT has a token window size of around, it used to have around 2040 or something. Now they increased it to 16K or something with the latest December update. In the case of Anthropic, you get around 120K token size, and that is huge. You can give entire Harry Potter volume together at once, right? So it can process that much. So Claude and Anthropic is known for basically high context window, and it is very good at that. So these two companies could be something to watch out for. A lot of funding coming in, and they're doing good stuff. Mistral mostly open sources their models also, so that's a huge thing.
Okay, that was really interesting, especially with respect to the leak. That was something really new for me. So definitely that point taken. So talking about AI. So we cannot talk about AI without talking about ethics, the ethical aspects about how AI should be used, and also the AI governance, because my podcast is generally with respect to politics, how politics affects people's life, how different issues affect people's life, and the governance aspect. So I want you guys to talk a bit more on this particular aspect, the ethical challenges and the AI governance, because whether it be the state government of Kerala or the central government of India and multiple governments of different countries, they are all trying to govern this particular unregulated field. So I want you guys to throw a bit of light on it, mostly related to the technical aspects, because it's very easy that we hear news with respect to, okay, US is going to create a law, but exactly how it's going to be affected, I think I want you guys to do the honors.
Okay, so the AI ethics and governance, the government will have some laws, but it would come down to the companies to actually make sure that's in effect. But even then, going in more depth, it would actually come down to the open source communities, contributors, they like the open source repo maintainers who strictly, monitors that, and that would be the deciding factor. That would be the main part where that would have to be enforced. Like companies, but the companies in turn most likely would end up using open source model rather than, most companies might not end up using resources in order to train models for their own need. There would be companies definitely, but most companies would be just trying to take up open source models and using them. So over there, open source, there would be a lot of good folks. So the ethics part, it would be strong over there. What happens over there, they will have a good idea. So over there, I feel there's more good over there than there's something bad that can happen. There will be definitely things that will be there which will happen. We see several instances of the latest one would be even Sachin Tendulkar got deepfake video recently. So there would be instances like that, but overall it would come down to, rather than laws, it would come down to how in my opinion, it would be how the open source maintainers and developers, the thought behind everything should be you should be doing good. It shouldn't be for self-benefit, it should be for the benefit of the community. That should be the mindset. That is how we evolve, how we progress in the human. That's my take on that.
Well, personally, I've heard very mixed opinions from a lot of experts in this field. I've seen people saying both sides. I've seen people talk that there's regulations and all, which usually I've seen people say that regulations will usually benefit companies like OpenAI, Google, etc., while small companies get affected. So those people are usually against regulation. I've also seen the other way around. That is, this is a very powerful technology and we are giving it to the people. So who is responsible, right? So a lot of mixed opinions. But personally, what I would say is, what we could do would be like to ensure transparency, right? Don't consider don't consider AI systems as a black box. Instead, like for example, ChatGPT, right? We do not really know what ChatGPT is trained on. Recently, there was an issue when there's a data set called Lion 5B, LAION 5B. This is a data set that is used for training stable diffusion models. So stable diffusion is basically the tech in which you give a prompt and then you get to generate an image, right? Stable. It's very popular. Like Midjourney, DALL-E, etc. use something similar, right? We don't really know exactly what they use because they're not open source. But stable diffusion is it's a open source thing which anyone can use it. You can download the code, you can enter a prompt, you can have the system running locally. I've tried it. So recently there was a case, not really a case, there was an issue when people said that the data set that was used to train this, that used to contain images of children, right? Or relating to children, which suddenly caused a lot of controversy. Why was this allowed in the first place? This is not very good. That means the model was trained on that data, so the model will be able to generate images of that kind of sort. A lot of people were against it. The model, the public URL of the model was revoked, the dataset was revoked, etc. So now another question arises. Now these stable diffusion was open source, and so we were able to know. So now ChatGPT and DALL-E, right? We don't really know what it is trained on. So what does that mean? If you do not know, does that mean it is safe? So that's an interesting question, right? I personally think it should not be a black box. I think it should be transparent, and people should be able to know how it works or what is at least a data set, right? What is used to train it, and that way, what happens is, we would not be blaming the model, but we would be able to know, really pinpoint the flaws of it as well. Another example would be when you use AI-based models in the case of law, right? In court, when an AI system makes a suggestion, or for example, let's just say an image recognition system. There's a surveillance system. And then, let's just say a crime happened and the model is saying, okay, the face matches that particular person, so he should be arrested. Now, recently there was a case, very recently in Hyderabad. There was one case and then a person was arrested. He was tortured, I think, and he finally died. And in the end, it came to know that the system made a mistake. It was not apparently that person. So now the blame shifts, right? Most people would say, oh, that is because the AI system made a mistake. But is it that easy? Like a human life is at stake. Can we really blame an AI system, right? So I think making it more transparent, that would be one. Then second challenge would be like avoiding bias, right? So there's a common saying that in AI systems or in computers in general, it's very dependent on the data. So if you put garbage data, you get garbage output also. So usually what happens is data set that you get, that would be it may not be of equally diverse. So in the case of, for example, let's just say human face data, right? If, let's just say 75 or even 65% of data is of white males, right? And then the rest are of non-white males, then the model inherently will be biased because the data as such was not of equal proportion, right? So now these things could have a huge effect later on. When you club different models together, the error gets added on, bubbles up. So that could cause one problem. Then of course there are other concerns of privacy. Yeah, deepfakes is a very good example. One stable diffusion came at its peak. A lot of different images were going viral on Twitter of different celebrities. There was one very famous image of the Pope, right? Pope wearing a white jacket that almost became a meme and all. So yeah, I think it's still like a nascent technology. It's a really powerful technology, but it's really hard to make a rule and say, okay, these companies should be regulated, or we should not continue development at all. First of all, it's very hard to do that. And how can we say if one company stops, how do we not know that the other one would be building it, right? So it's like a mod. It's hard. It's a gray area, sir. And then finally, I would say a lot of awareness still needs to be given. A lot of people still do not know how it is happening. A lot of people still believe what they get in their WhatsApp forward. If they get some actor saying something in a video, they will believe it without even having a set of doubt whether, oh wait, would they really say it? Is there a small chance that this could be manufactured or someone did nowadays it's actually not difficult. There are already apps and video editors where you can kind of do some kind of morphing using AI tech. So yeah, that is there. These are like my thoughts. I do not want to explicitly say one particular opinion and say, because it's a gray area. It's hard to. Those are my thoughts. Yeah.
I think I'll start from what exactly is stopped. People don't know more about it. That's exactly why we are here doing this particular podcast, because we need to get this information out to people, saying that, okay, this is affecting your life. You should know more about it. I think that's the main motive of we doing such podcast episodes. And also, before ending this particular session, recently there was an important video concerning, especially in my field, which was Vladimir Putin, the Russian president. He was interviewed by his own fake image, fake model of it. So you can't actually say who is who. And he's answering two questions raised by himself. So that's the world we live in right now. We can't say who is the reality and who is the fake one. And this will definitely be an important tool that will be used by every politician across countries. So now, say one person can create another person who will go for campaigning in different places. Just imagine if any particular leader, I don't want to name anyone right now, so that particular person can make few videos, and that model or that particular person, a model I mean that particular person's image or replica would generate videos for that person. Now we'll think that that person is the one who is talking. It wouldn't be that person. So all this particular creates a lot of challenges with respect to AI ethics and the AI governance part. So I think we'll move on to a few interesting topics. Definitely, when we talk about AI, we cannot forget about ChatGPT, because just a year ago, everyone started with, oh, ChatGPT is a big thing. The new revolution is here. Everything can be done using ChatGPT. So I want you to talk more about what exactly is ChatGPT, for especially those who don't know. How does it work? And can it do, say, everything? And how exactly did it become popular? So it can't be like one fine day everyone found out that there is such a software and everyone can use it. So I want this gray area to be unflawed and everyone to know more about it.
So ChatGPT, let's expand it. ChatGPT. GPT is generative pre-trained transformer. So it's like Aldrin said, it's an LLM, so large language model. Saying more on it, it's trained on a ridiculous amount of data, like billions of. It's hard to put it into numbers. It's a ridiculous amount of data that's being put into the model, and it was trained, like mentioned before. It was several steps involved, and one of them was reinforcement learning. So I've heard in a podcast that there were like OpenAI had employed a lot of people in order to, and there was several steps done. One of them was like this step in reinforcement learning, where we did some work on the model and we get a model, and we actually employ people in order to get the feedback on how good the answer is. So that was all these steps. So the person would give the feedback whether if it was good or there was something that was missing or something that could be better. So all those, even there was a feedback mechanism. So reinforcement learning, there was a feedback mechanism involved in the process of training this model. And ultimately we got the ChatGPT. It was released, and yeah, how it gained popularity, that's an area. Maybe Aldrin, can you speak on that?
Yeah, sure. So ChatGPT recently became 1 year old. It was started in 2022, October, November, during that time. And it became the fastest growing consumer application in history. It reached around 100 million active users by January itself. And the main selling point of it was it was able to carry human sounding conversations, right? And that was huge. I don't think OpenAI did have to put any money into like actual marketing. A lot of it like very quickly spread using just word of mouth. I remember when I was when I first came to know it from a friend, and then I was like so impressed with it. I shared to a lot of different people, and then quickly spread that. Then yeah, again, like Sebastian said, it was started by OpenAI, and And it gave them it took them a lot of different resources. I'm sorry. It took them a lot of different resources to actually give it to the people, but the impact was huge. People were using it for all kind of different things, writing emails, completing their homework, or, solving problems, or even for psychological purposes, like for asking for advice, right? A lot of different use cases came up. Soon they released their own API, OpenAI API, which were used by developers all over the world to build really powerful custom applications. Examples would be, creating chatbots that are trained on custom data, for example, company data, right? That is one example. Yeah, so that it was like kind of like a democratizing thing. In the earlier days, what happens is, in order to train a model and to use, you need really powerful servers, right? You need really powerful computers that can handle all the traffic, etc. But now OpenAI just gave it to the public for free, right? Everyone can use ChatGPT, and then have like either a helpful companion or like a tutor or like a psychologist expert to give advice. It was kind of like a democratization thing. And once people started using it, they really understood the potential. And I think that could be one way for it. It would have reached such huge customer base in such a short time. Yeah.
So you both must have definitely used ChatGPT. So I would like both of you to give your experience about how exactly do you efficiently use ChatGPT and how it exactly has helped you guys, if at all you guys have used it or not.
Yeah, definitely use ChatGPT almost on a day-to-day basis. Very few days that I don't use it. But from beginning it was like exploring what it was capable of doing, just the interface, testing it, seeing if I would get the reply that I need, the answer or something. Maybe it's something that I already know, or maybe it's some advice that I would want it to give, and seeing if it's actually giving that, things like that. I also worked on a project of mine that was so it was basically prompt engineering, where the idea was to support people during tough times that they go through mentally. So I used the API in order to get this response back. So that project, and that was done using MindsDB. So MindsDB gave that platform where I could use the OpenAI API, but and there was MindsDB was offering a platform where I could use like SQL. I was able to use Python, so Python API would be in turn using the MindsDB SQL in order to connect with the different offerings that I had, like suppose OpenAI and other providers. So I just ended up using OpenAI, and that's one thing that I did. And other than that, mostly advice and those sort of things, I use that. And coming to work, I use it mainly when I know the logic of the code, and I'm like, I don't have to type it, I can just ask it, and there's some time definitely saved there. It's like some code where I've already done it in the past. And it might be something really simple, but I don't have to necessarily copy paste the variables, and I get the output from ChatGPT. That's something that I use often these days. Other than that, something that I really have a really good feedback from ChatGPT when I'm trying to learn some new technology and I'm trying to get some information real fast. I'm not totally relying on the information, but I take the output from it, and I see whether if it's something I can work with quickly in order to get something done real quick. And I would have a thought process behind it, give the response that it would be giving. So I would ask again questions and refine, take back the output and give it back to it and ask whether if that's what I actually need or if there's a better way to do it and things like that. So in that sense, it helps a lot to save time and to actually get things done. But things done the right way, getting the right output, not just an output that works. That's something that I do a lot at work.
Right. I have some similar thoughts. I also use it for ideation. So that is basically when trying to break down systems into smaller problems. That could be one. So for example, let's just say I'm supposed to build a program which involves a lot of different steps, right? So what I do is I basically write down my thoughts initially as a single prompt. I say, okay, I'm going to build a system. This should have these prompts. This should these features. This should have these kind of UI, etc. And then I'll ask it to help me ideate. So we both, like a pair, we try to figure out solutions together. So it will say, okay, maybe why don't you try this? And I say, okay, that is good approach, but then won't this have this problem? Instead, how would we do this? So then that way I think it's very good for, work involving thinking. So this can be used by anyone, right? Just say you're a student, and then you have got a problem and you want to learn about a new concept, right? So then, ChatGPT cannot solve math problems for you, but it can give you some very good simplifications of topics, right? For physics or math, or even math itself. It can give you very good direction on, you can say like, explain like I am 5. That is a sort of like a hack you can use to take whatever complex matter and have it be simplified. That is one. Then for writing, right? For writing, let's just say a blog post. I usually don't use it, but I have seen people using it with blog posts and all. You can converse with it and then get a really good, ideas for different paragraphs. So that could be one way to use it. I mostly use it for ideation and then for generating boilerplate code. So what that means is, if I really know like what I want to do, then I just describe like in very much detail what I want to do. And then it will just give almost like a near perfect code which I can directly copy. So the idea is that you need to tell it in very detailed manner what exactly you want. The more specifically you tell it, the better it output will. If you just say, write a program to print some numbers, it may not be that great. But if you clearly go into much detail, just like you are telling it to like a junior developer or something, then you can usually get good output. That is one. Overall, I think it's a very good general purpose assistant. As a developer, from a developer perspective, I use its APIs to build custom things. Recently I built a project where, you give ChatGPT internet browsing abilities and also local computer controlling system setup. So basically you can ask ChatGPT, play the movie in my computer and then it will be able to play. That is something I'm working on right now. Yeah, I think overall it's very useful tool, not just for developers, but for anyone in general. You can be a lot more efficient. One point I would like to add though is that, you usually become much more efficient when you already have a domain specific knowledge. That is, I've heard a great expert person say this. Like, let's just say you are very good at medicine or law, for example. Then you will be so much more productive with ChatGPT rather than someone who's not good at law but trying out similar prompt. Yeah, because if you are good at a particular domain, then you will be able to give such good prompt, and you would also be able to give feedback to the LLM saying, okay, this is okay, but I think this could have a flaw like this. What do you think? Can we improve it further? So that way the interactions would be so much more efficient if you have a domain specific knowledge. Yeah.
So both of you use the premium version or the free version?
I'm still with the free version. I'm tempted to use the premium version, but yeah, still sticking with the free version.
Right. For ChatGPT, I think it's very good with the 3.5 version. I use the free version only. For the pro version, there's a limit. You cannot have more than so many requests in a particular time frame. And it is slower to generate. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter say it is not much different as such. Yeah. When building APIs, for now I use GPT 3.5 itself. It's much faster. And so far I've got really good results with the free version itself. Yeah. But one tempting thing would be the GPT store. That could be really useful. I think GPTs could have a lot of potential. I personally really been wanting to try it out. I haven't been able to surf it.
Can you tell about the GPT store? Is it like different models that we get to prompt?
Right. So GPT store is something which was introduced very recently. In November, I think Sam Altman gave a keynote and all. So that is basically consider App Store for Apple phones. We have App Store, right? Something very similar. So this can be considered like smaller ChatGPT versions which are specifically good at one particular sort of thing. So there are GPTs which acts like a counselor, right? So it could have a certain extra information which would make it act very good as a counselor to help you in those kind of needs. There are GPTs which help you write technical documentation of a particular domain, etc. So they usually involve something called RAG, that is a retrieval augmented generation. It's like you will have a set of extra documents which developers can plug it into a particular GPT that they create, And then regular users can just access that GPT and then use that GPT so that it can have all the functionality of normal ChatGPT plus this additional information which the developer feeds in, right? Now GPT, in order to access GPT, you need to have the ChatGPT plus the premium thing. You have to do that. And then you have GPT store in which you can search a lot of different GPTs. There are already, I think, 10,000 millions or so. So yeah, it's a good thing, I feel. Based on your particular niche use case, you can find the GPT for you. And then I've heard people say very good things about it, like how it makes their life much more productive. They would have their own custom system prompt, etc. for that particular use case. Yeah.
Okay, so something which everyone asks to all AI experts in general. What exactly would be the effect of AI on people's lives? So some people will say it's good, some people will say it's bad. A lot of people are losing their jobs. So overall, I want a very small answer with respect to the effect of AI on different aspects in the world around us.
My answer would be it's for the good. Like there would be technologies that would be coming which at the end of the day it's for the benefit of the human race. So yeah, AI is in that direction, but yeah, there would be loss of jobs, and that with the coming of AI, there would be even more roles in that field. So that is a transition that people would have to adapt to. Yes, that is there, but I would say it is for the good. It will turn out to be good in the direction, and there will be more such things coming up in the coming years. Yeah, that's what I feel.
Yeah, I personally do not want to make any strict opinions as such. I've heard people speak on both sides. There are people who are optimists and they say, okay, I will take up a lot of jobs, okay, but there are a lot of new opportunities will also open up. At the same time, I also seen the other end. There are people who say, okay, a lot of different jobs open up, but then that number will be very much smaller. I think Sebastian talked about that earlier once to me, I think. And then a lot of different new jobs. For example, prompt engineer. There are companies looking for someone called prompt engineer. Now this thing was not even there 2 years back, right? So new opportunities came up. But still, how many prompt engineers do you need in a company? And how many developers could be replaced? So these are like questions. And there are people like Elon Musk who say, this is inevitable. Loss of jobs is something which we all have to anyway bear with. And he introduced something called the universal basic income, which basically means in the future, robots and AI systems will be doing all your work. So humans will not have to do anything. You just sit in your home, and then everyone will get a sort of basic income every month. So yeah, there are different people, experts at this field saying different opinions. Sam Altman, by the way, Sam Altman is the CEO of OpenAI right now. He started a venture called WorldCoin, where he scanned the idea is to scan everyone's biometric, eyes and all, and then say, this is needed for universal basic income, etc. It's, I don't want to say this is coming, so it's very dark. You'll all lose jobs. No. At the same time, I do not want to say, this is coming, so it's so much good we don't have to work at all. I think what we right now can do is, this revolution is anyway happening. We can't stop it. So I think what we should do is we should learn more about it and make ourselves much more familiar with the tools, right? To make ourselves more efficient. Let's just say you are a student, right? Just think about how AI tools can make your learning process much more effective. Let's just say you are someone who learns coding, right? And just maybe think about how AI tools can help you write better code or write code in an efficient manner, right? Quickly. Or let's just say you are someone who studies law. Okay. So there are a lot of different applications for AI, right? Even ChatGPT can help you. ChatGPT may not, but there are different fine-tuned models which can use to reference and cite, past case histories, etc. There are different startups coming up for doctors, right? So different domains have different AI. This thing is affecting everyone, right? So I think one option would be just to upskill ourselves on these technologies much better, rather than getting outdated. So that would be one, I would say. And regarding jobs, yeah. So if you want if you look at it from a company perspective, right? Companies want to maximize profits. Now, developers cost money, right? If you want to hire a developer, means you need to pay. If there is an AI system which is equally good, then obviously I can imagine the rest, right? So that is there. But at the same time, if you are someone who writes code, and if you can be so much more efficient with a program, then maybe just think about it. Suddenly you are at a very high advantage, right? Compared to someone who does not use it at all. So that is one way to think about it. So I would say just upskill ourselves right now. I know it's not the exact answer many will be looking for, but this is what I'm thinking. Yeah.
So thank you so much, both of you. So I'll be combining next two questions together. So one would be, what exactly would be the future of AI? I think you both gave a good answer to the previous question. But again, anything else which you would like to add, which you missed in this particular 1 hour session, you can add. As well as I want you, both of you, to give a set of materials or resources, or when you say a channel or a particular website which people can refer to become experts in AI, know more about AI, the different tools, how to use them, and definitely to be like another Sebastian or another Aldrin. So how did you guys become in this particular fashion, and how can the listeners, the readers can become as well?
Alright, so the future of AI, it's really bright, I would say. There's lots of things happening in AI. There's so many things happening that I'm personally overwhelmed and I don't follow it up to date because it in itself is a full-time role. There are if you one person that I follow on Twitter is Swix. He goes by the name of Swix, SWYX. That's his Twitter handle. So if once you follow him, you'll get all the resources and you'll get to know everything that's happening. So, but following all of that is, as I said, a full-time role. He has also come up with a term that's called AI engineer. So that's basically the engineer that keeps track of everything and puts it into use. That's one role. And future would be, I would say, there's already the application of AI in robotics, but I think there would be more towards robotics. We have a lot of things that's done in software, and now it would. Although there is many applications in robotics currently, there would be even more in the coming years. So AI and robotics combined, that would be one another thing that would be coming up. So and materials, how I started off is in Coursera. So there was deep learning specialization. It was 5-course specialization by Andrew Ng. Andrew Ng is like one of the top people in the field. So, and how he explains it, even though I wouldn't recommend the first course that you go into, but that's how I did. If you have a good hold of mathematics, which I did, and you would be able to get a strong hold of what he's saying, and he also explains it really well. I developed the interest when I was watching that course. It was during that course that I actually thought to myself, like, this is the first time that I'm finding interest in something, and I'm thinking that's what I want to do. That's how much I was inspired at that time, and still I'm trying. Yeah, and that's one source that I would say. Other than that, maybe that's something that I can recommend personally. Yeah, as Aldrin said, you need to upskill. You need to spend the time towards learning the skill. So, how you would learn it? This is one source that I can say which I personally did. And I also want to share a link, maybe Jairam will leave it in the show notes. So that's a site, it's called Super Tools, Rundown AI. So that's basically a site where you can get a list of applications across, list of tools across applications. So maybe you want to do some chatting with the text, like a very large text, so then you'll have a custom application over there where you can use it. So it's basically a site where you have different tools for different applications. You can check that out. It would be really interesting. It's like very, there's no theoretical aspect to it, just use it. It's everything is intuitive, and that's something maybe like you will spark interest, and that will definitely get you on the track. Don't be overwhelmed. Just go step by step. Just get the basics done. It's like once you get the hang of it, will start making sense, and maybe it won't at that time. Reach out for help, try doing open source, put your work out in public, all those things. So yeah.
Yeah, if I may add on, I'm of a slightly different background. I usually do not like to do courses as such. I don't really like to sit and watch videos. What I personally like to do is like build some things, so more practical oriented. So, Andrew Vanchi's course, like Sebastian said, that is one of the most recommended courses. But I personally tried it and I did not like it because I personally found it a bit boring. Another one I could suggest would be something called, there's a site called fast.ai. It is done by a man called Jeremy Howard. It's very good. It's very good. It's basically about deep learning. You don't really need to have much prior background at it. And it's much more practical oriented. So whatever he say, you can immediately run it in a Jupyter notebook as such. It's very good to, if you want to learn about deep learning, that is a very good course, I would say. You don't even need to do all of it. You can just do it from here and there, but still you will get a very good feel of it. I did this when I was in college, and I was able to build like a Harry Potter actor classifier within a few hours only. It was a very good. I deployed it and also it's a very good thing. It's a good course. I highly recommend it. Then yeah, regarding future, like Sebastian said, I personally think robotics could be huge this year. Like last week, that is January 2nd or 3rd week, I think. Yeah, January 3rd week, there was something called CES, Consumer Electronics Show. That happened in Los Angeles recently. So that is basically where a lot of big companies come up to show what they are working on, right? So it's basically like a window to the future as such. And so robotics could be huge. And then the integration of AI with healthcare, that could be one thing. Like AI is being put into a lot of different things. LG has washing machines which use AI, drones which use AI. There are toasters which uses AI. Like AI is going to be put in a lot of different things. So it's in a very booming phase right now. There's no better time to upskill yourselves and learn more about this than now. I would say having a curiosity as such is a big thing, right? Having curiosity itself to know more about it. When you hear about something, maybe just taking a few seconds to search for it and knowing more about it, that would be a huge thing. And then, like Sebastian said, follow people on Twitter. Twitter is a great place to find people working on the space. The crazy thing is, usually, traditionally, let's just say looking from a developer perspective, there was this concept of senior programmers. So those are the programmers who worked on something for a lot of many years. So they have a lot of expert knowledge. But in the era of generative AI, what happens is the whole concept boomed around 2021 ending. So now suddenly everyone is starting from the same ground as it, which I find to be so much, what should I say? It leveled the ground for a lot of people. So I could go and start up a conversation with someone who may be so much more senior to me in a lot of different things, but then we could converse very easily using if it is related to generative AI, because it came out very recently only. So that I think is a very, very good time, very good time to be here right now. And follow people on Twitter. If you want, you could just check out me or Sebastian, just follow us on Twitter and then just go through the list of people whom we are following. And then so that could give you an idea of people. Like for example, my Twitter feed is mostly related to the AI stuff. Like I see a lot of projects, people building different Gen AI projects. Or you could search for the Gen AI hashtag, GenAI something. That could be a good way to know these projects are different people posting about interesting stuff, etc. Then Hugging Face could be one site which you could get yourself familiar with. Hugging Face, basically it's like it's a website where people upload different open source models. It also has a place to host projects. So let's just say you made a project which uses generative AI stuff like image generation, or you use the ChatGPT API to build something cool. Then you can host it in Hugging Face, and you can test it out. And a lot of good projects usually have a demo in Hugging Face which you can check out. That is one. Then one site I can recommend would be something called Future Tools, futuretools.io. It's something similar to the one which Sebastian mentioned. Basically, it has a lot of, it basically has a chat interface where you can just ask it what kind of projects you're interested to see, and then it will list out a lot of different projects which based on that criteria. And all of these projects should be using generative AI. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. You can check it out. But the main point I would repeat again would be to have like a innate curiosity to know more. If you just have it, then automatically you'll be able to connect things together and find more, etc. In YouTube itself, you can also get a lot of different resources. I do not want to particularly point any single channel as such. But usually when you search about a particular topic, for example, RAG, right, retrieval augmented generation we talked about earlier, there are a lot of good videos which you can usually find it out. Yeah, so those are my thoughts. Yeah.
I think before you guys go, so we are at the end of this podcast episode. Before you guys go, I want you guys to give us small feedback about your podcast experience, how this podcast went, and the feedback for my podcast as well. So do you think such initiatives help people, etc., etc.?
Yes, definitely. The podcast that we are doing, technical podcast, would be helpful for people who want an overview, and they would definitely get many inputs. Like we have this knowledge from lots of days and weeks, months of, but we have simplified it, and so when we are presenting that in the podcast, that definitely helps. Yeah, and that's with this podcast. And thank you, Jairam, for having us with this podcast. And coming to the Journal of Knowledge podcast, it's I know most of the podcasts were in the political front, so I haven't spent much time listening to the political podcasts. I mostly focus on technical podcasts, but yeah, I did spend a few minutes. It was good, like in the sense, like the few minutes that I heard, that was like I got the feel for how the podcast would be, and that over the past 1 year, is it? Like I know that you have done several podcasts in episodes within this podcast. So yeah, I got the feel for the things that you're doing, and even within the political podcast, I got to know a few things that, and definitely many things that I didn't know previously. So yeah, it definitely helps.
Yeah. For me personally, I would like to give a huge lot of appreciation to Jairam. First of all, for spreading awareness about these things, right? Then I would like to give a huge appreciation to those who are listening to this particular podcast. Because what happens is, developers usually, they live in kind of like a bubble where we feel like everyone near us would be knowing these things. But then we get into the real world and suddenly we meet people who are like, who like don't, what should I say? We're not familiar with these tools, right? What tools which we take for granted, most people are not aware. So I recently gave a talk in a college, and then after the end of it, the sir came out and said, it's a very good thing that you talked about this, because most students are not aware of how they could use these AI tools to improve their working, right? So I feel like having these kind of conversations could benefit a lot among people in the society. Even let's just say government people, right? They could make AI tools. They could make very good use of AI tools. In fact, I talked recently with someone working in a government office, and they are trying to build systems which could, for example, you give a particular case report, and then it would pull up the necessary resources, reference, etc., and will help you make a report out of it, a new report with even more add functionality using LLMs. But most people so that happens only because those people suddenly got aware. Okay, so these kind of things can be done, right? And even for any normal people, for example, let's say you work in any government institution, and then you want to give a speech for Independence Day, right? So tools could help you a lot. Yeah, there are tools even better than ChatGPT, right? There are tools like WriteSonic, which should help you create articles in your own personal tone. Like you give a lot of your custom old documents, and then suddenly you get to write a new document based on the way you would usually speak. So once people became more aware of such tools, they could be so much efficient at whatever task they do, right? These are not narrow agents, like we said. These are like general AI kind of tools. So talking about this, a very huge appreciation to Jairam for taking initiative to do this. And then whoever is listening to this, just know that you're not like in the majority. You're like in the like a few good people who are being aware of it, and so you could make yourselves information to make yourselves much more efficient. So that is one. And then feedback as it's, I think again, I personally know Jairam. I've been following him for like a long time. He's a senior, and I know like he's very knowledgeable, and I appreciate the fact that he's willing to share his knowledge to a wider community So that is like a huge thing. I feel like he deserves much more followers, like more people, listen in his community. I feel that would be my thought. Yeah, I am grateful to Jairam for giving this opportunity, and I am thankful to Sebastian also. Like I think it went well, and I am grateful to it. Yeah, thank you, Jairam. That would be my thoughts.
So thank you so much, both of you, for taking your time off schedule. And I know I have been pestering you, both of you, for a very long time. Let's do it. And our deadline got postponed days after days, weeks after weeks. So finally, we could gather together and get this done with. So thank you so much once again for spending your time here and giving the listeners a lot of knowledge, I must say. Even I learned a lot from what both of you had said. Hope you both learned from each other too. So thank you so much to all the listeners for sticking on till the end. So I'll be attaching the Twitter handles of both Sebastian and Aldrin in the description and in the articles as well. So you can just check out their Twitter handles, and I think both of you post a lot on these particular topics. You keep posting not only related to AI, across coding, different projects you are doing, then eminent people whom all of you are following and all. So I think it has been a great experience. I hope it would be the same for you. So keep following us for more such podcast episodes, and thank you for sticking on till the end, and follow us on all podcast streaming platforms and all our social media handles for all the updates. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Bye everyone.
Thank you.